Hi everyone, it's James at Cryptoconsh, and today we're going to look at PlugChain. PlugChain is an oracle built on the Cosmos network. So let's get started. As you can see, this is the Cosmos network. A lot of developers like to build on this network because it sandboxes individual currencies. So for example, all of these currencies and all of these different applications built on this network, they are within their own sandbox essentially, but they are all interoperable. So they can connect with each other, transaction speeds are very fast, and transaction costs are very low. It's a beautiful design moving forward. When you watch The Matrix, you might be thinking, what is an actual oracle? Well, did you notice how in The Matrix the oracle knows more than the average person? And Neo often went to the oracle for information about the future of whether he was the one or not, right? And this is quite interesting because that's essentially what an oracle is. They are data receivers for the real world. It's kind of interesting because in the real world, or in cryptocurrency shall we say, an oracle is an application essentially that takes real world data and makes that applicable for the blockchain. So it's pretty cool actually. The connection to the real world is the oracle. I really like that. Now, alright, so we have three parts. Okay, so the first part is a smart contract. This is basically, I am buyer A. I want to buy Ethereum. Seller B wants to sell Ethereum. We can do this transaction via a smart contract that doesn't have a third party. The code is self-facilitating, right? It allows us to make this transaction without human input. That is a smart contract, but you can see that the data interchange is quite basic, right? What is happening, and this is why this is blowing up and why oracles are so important, is this oracle is going to put real-world information into this smart contract, and then the smart contract is going to be able to make even better judgments. What do I mean by that? Well, your Fitbit information, okay, so if you have a Fitbit on your wrist, like a watch that measures how often you sleep, it measures your heart rate, and it measures how often you exercise. Well, that data can be transferred over to this smart contract. Imagine it's an insurance firm, and then the insurance firm can automatically calculate how much your insurance premiums are going to cost based on the data in the real world. So if you exercise more and sleep well, it might automatically calculate a lower insurance cost. So there are real world applications for this, and this is just getting started. Oracles are going to blow up. There is huge competition in this space now for oracles because we know the decent oracles are the ones that are going to take over. It's without a doubt. Yes, it's a little bit complicated, but this is the future. If you want to learn more about oracles and why are they considered the invisible backbone of DeFi according to Forbes, you might want to look at this article. I'll leave the link in the description below. It's an excellent article determining why oracles are so important, why the blockchain needs them, and how in the future this is going to be massive, absolutely massive. It's important to identify the right oracles, see what world problems they're trying to solve, and see why they're better than the competition. So let's move forward then. PlugChain is incredibly new, and if anyone knows me, they know I love new projects. I'm all about new projects. As you can see, it only started in November, and from that point forward, it's grown in value a little bit, and it's been relatively steady from that point forward. It's only been around for 2 to 3 months. It has a huge maximum supply, hence the very cheap price, and a huge fully diluted market cap of 5.4 billion. As we can see here, the coin has an annualized inflation rate that might change between 7 and 20%. This means they're going to increase the production of these coins and distribution of these coins to people that stake these coins over the years, between 7 and 20%. So you need to make sure that the value, if you invest in this, the value goes up more than 7 and 20%. The average block time is 5 seconds, which is not bad, not as strong as Harmony, but still an excellent block time. Now, let's get into the fundamentals. So now what I'm going to do is take you through the white paper. Now, the white paper is the cornerstone of every single cryptocurrency on the market, and I expect a white paper to be written well. Now, where this white paper is written well in terms of it is logical and it answers certain problems, it still has a lot of grammar mistakes. If you're a $5 billion company, you would expect that there'd be no spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes on the white paper. So this is something fundamentally that needs to be addressed. But I'll go through it so you don't bloody have to. Alright, now, again, what I was saying is this oracle is looking to compete with Chainlink. Now, Chainlink is on the Ethereum network, and PlugChain is not on the Ethereum network. PlugChain is on the Cosmos, right? So what they're looking to do is compete with this. Anything that's on the Ethereum network, if the gas fees go high, it can be simply $50 to get that data for the smart contract for the transaction. That is a bloody rip-off, isn't it? So transferring data simply on that blockchain can be really, really, really expensive. And so what these guys have decided to do is put it on a chain that is cheap to transact with, which is fundamentally a very important thing to do initially. So even in that initial stage, they're making the right choice in that regard. Being able to communicate between all these different sandboxes for a low price at a high speed. Now there are furthermore problems with Ethereum, not just the cost, but poor scalability and centralization, and these things can all cause problems. If it's decentralized, it's supposed to be more secure. It's kind of like the Sony hack, you know, if you attack one large organization and that's where the data centers and the servers are, that's it. But if it's multiple nodes that need to be attacked to take over, then it's considered a lot safer. Anyway, moving forward. What we look at in cryptocurrency is something called the Trilemma, okay, on the blockchain. Now, whenever I look at an organization, I try to imagine how it can combat this trilemma. And these things are very important, okay? So, is this project able to be scalable? Can it increase in size without sacrificing speed, security, and centralization? So, for example, you can have a fast server, but it's not decentralized, it's centralized like Binance, okay? Or you can have excellent security, but because of the cost of transaction and the time of transactions, it might not be scalable. So let's have a look at these three areas and see if PlugChain can actually improve on the areas and the problems that are existing. So basically, through the nature of this, they are able to achieve decentralization, that's what we're looking at first, decentralization by having multiple prediction machines in use and also multiple data sources in use. So they are essentially trying their best to perform decentralization. So that's one issue with the trilemma that they're trying to sort out. Let's see how scalable they are. For scalability, the most important thing here is really interoperability and how have they done it so that these chains can communicate well with each other. In order to make it scalable and efficient, they've integrated heterogeneous fragmentation technology. To avoid all the jargon, basically, if this technology is heterogeneous, it means it's the same and therefore can interact with each other in the same way because of the block structure. So that's really good. They've identified how to make the system interoperable and how it can be scaled very easily by comparing same data points. And the final element we need to consider is security, right? So if we look at security, how have they looked at that? How have they focused on that? Well, actually their security is quite advanced. They're using zero-proof knowledge schemes and a virtual machine that supports privacy protection, anonymous cross-chain payment systems, and mixicles to hide the judgment result. So actually they are implementing a series of security-based pieces of software to help these transactions and maintain security of the users. So looking at this initially, the scalability is covered, decentralization is covered, security is covered. So ultimately what PlugChain is trying to do is connect to all different chains, okay? And it's going to utilize the Cosmos, I wrote Comos here, again an important spelling mistake. So it's going to use the Cosmos independent data interaction tools, which are what the Cosmos is renowned for, because the Cosmos is world class, that system. And we're seeing a new organization in a really competitive market that is trying to break the trilemma and trying to be interoperable outside and inside of Ethereum, based on a network which is renowned for its scalability, its cheapness, and its speed of interaction. So these are all positives for me so far. So finally, let's have a look at the use cases. Firstly, it can help decentralize finance, because decentralized finance doesn't use a lot of variables at the moment when it calculates the smart contracts. Now, if you can embed more variables into this based on real life scenarios and price changes, DeFi can be much more effective, and it can react quicker to the market when you're using these decentralized finance platforms. And this is just the start. Oracles, the data they receive, the data they interpret, and the data they put into these ever increasingly complex smart contracts is going to change how we invest in the future. As you know, decentralized finance has already taken off in a massive way, and oracles are the next step to making DeFi an even bigger platform for people to use outside of traditional banking. Next, because of the speed and interoperability and ability to perform quick transactions with lots of data being combined together, PlugChain will be able to adjust more quickly for real-time currency shocks that are going on with stablecoins and make the adjustments quicker than most other platforms. Okay, so this is the final part. This is the part that I'm really excited about, because this is seriously the future. Oracles are going to be really responsible for insurance. Okay, so the insurance industry usually has a lot of people making a lot of calculations. Okay, now imagine if your Oracle is able to obtain data about weather. Okay, lots of years history of weather, and then from that data make a really accurate calculation and prediction about how many tornadoes there are going to be, or if there's going to be a drought. Okay. the platform will be able to use real life data to instantly calculate how much your insurance is going to cost for the year based on these prediction models. Insurance is massive, it's one of the biggest industries in the world, and I know that's going to absolutely take off. Now, so these are things that oracles are going to be really good for. So what about my concerns then? My concerns are this is an industry that has a lot of competition, but with 5 billion in backing, I think this organization will have the time to survive and time to grow. Secondly, trusting the data. You know, it's very, very hard to make sure that the data you're receiving is excellent. And yes, they can check that data, but sometimes hardware fails, real world hardware fails. And when you make prediction models based on this data, how can you really safely predict there's going to be a tornado at this time, or safely predict there's going to be a drought at this time? Weather is an impossible mechanism to predict. We have more and more data every year, but still. So really, ultimately, it depends on the complexity and how good these calculation models really are for an organization like this. They can cause insurance premiums that are way too high or way too low. So these are things that need to be focused on in a client-focused market. So from my perspective, it's interoperable. The cost of transaction is really low. It can compete with Chainlink as it's not on the Ethereum network. It has a high level investment, and they are trying to fix the Trilemma issue. But for me, as a new project, I think this has legs. I wish they would improve their grammar on their white paper, but from a fundamental perspective, PlugChain has identified a lot of issues in this rapidly growing infantile industry, and it is trying to fix these issues one by one. So for me, I'm alright with it. I might have a little dibble dabble. So that was a bit of a deep analysis today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to hear more, give it a like, give it a subscribe. I'll catch you later. Bye bye.